That science stuff. I hate science. Yeah, I don't know who he is. I feel like I've seen some of his videos, maybe. Or like seen like thumbnails. Wait, what? How much pee is in your pool? Yes, I was about to do until I seen that. Oh, can you swim in jello? Liquid sand, hot tub, fluidized? I don't even know what that means. Backyard squirrel maze, ninja warrior course? Okay, that sounds hard.
This is a bird feeder, and everything to my left is my attempt at making it squirrel proof. If they want the bird seed, they will first need to pass through what is basically an 8-part Ninja Warrior obstacle course for squirrels. This course is extremely challenging. It is not for the timid of heart. But out of the gate, I will admit that in hindsight, that I completely underestimated my adversary. Now, if you're wondering why I would go through all this trouble, we need to go back 8 weeks ago when I found myself stuck at home and very bored.
You got the dogs out? Oh, hell no.
So I installed a bird feeder and decided to become a bird watcher. And it was just so lovely. Until they showed up. Now luckily my bird feeder had a wire cage around it, big enough for the birds to slip inside, but small enough to prevent the squirrels from getting food. And that worked really well. Until right here. For me, this was like the moment in Jurassic Park when they realized the velociraptors can open door handles. And once the door was open, it was clear this wasn't their first rodeo. They basically cleared this whole tube of birdseed by the end of the day. Mind you, this bird feeder was advertised as being squirrel proof, so I bought another squirrel proof bird feeder to replace it. It's got this outer cage suspended by some springs, and so if a bird comes and lands here, it doesn't weigh that much and it has access to the seeds. However, if a squirrel comes, they'll grab onto this cage, its weight will force the springs down, thereby preventing access to the seeds. I have no idea how the squirrels could possibly outsmart this.
I don't even know what he just said.
But let's see. And
no
this
squirrels, right?
Exactly as intended. You can see the birds love it, but when the squirrel comes along, the cage shifts down, and now all the seed ports are covered up. Every time they tried, it was the same results. However, the next morning, this guy manages to unclip the springs that hold the cage up, which means the cage stays in the lower position where it blocks all the seed openings. Problem with that is now they can get to the lid.
What the fuck?
This bird feeder lid doesn't hinge open to give direct access, so he goes with a different tactic.
Oh, he just broke the shit.
Where he has access to all the birdseed he wants. And so I decided I would try one more bird feeder design. Okay. Wow. It almost feels intentional at this point. This one's supposed to work well because it's got this baffle, which is supposed to keep the squirrels from just coming straight down and getting to the seeds. And more importantly, there's no way for them to rip this off. We'll see. This one debuted.
You know what's crazy is like this is real life shit that happens. Like the squirrel proof, he bought the squirrel proof shit. The squirrel still got in. Like he's not like intentionally like having a squirrel come and eat
to similar results.
No, this is just
as he hangs by a few toes. This is when I really started to gain an appreciation for what they were capable of. It definitely seemed like this bird feeder was their favorite. Okay. Yeah, they're
nice hanging there.
And at this point, a plan was forming in my head. But just to be thorough, I moved the post away from the fence, and I can't say I was surprised when they just climbed it.
Yeah,
Nor
I don't know.
was I surprised to see they could shimmy up and
they just be like two bird feeders that are supposed to be fucking squirrel proof, and you think they won't climb up there?
A small metal pole, or even a large one for that matter. And whether they could climb a certain material was a moot point anyways because of this. Look at this! These guys are basically freaking rodent-sized.
Yo, I thought he jumped back. I was like, damn.
Look at this. These guys are basically
freaking
rodent-sized Simone Biles. And on some level, this is what it felt like when someone stole a package from my porch that didn't belong to them. And I harnessed that indignation, spending a year designing. Stole a package from my porch that didn't belong to them. And I harnessed.
Nah, she just walked over the shit.
That indignation, spending a year designing the glitter bomb bait package.
Hello.
Like, you want to know something? You talking about they got hops. I remember watching a squirrel basketball tournament. There was like, bro, there's like this I think it was at like a museum or some shit, bro. It was like they had this shit like, bro, they had like a stage and everything, and they had like the two hoops. The hoops were like, was it squirrels? Maybe it was rats. I think it was rats actually. Never mind. There was like it was like a ball, and they would like put the ball into the hoop, and there was like some type of material in there where they wanted to score. I don't know, but it was cool as fuck. Not something like the child
complete with special fragrances. If I could design a package to deter thieves, could I design a bird feeder to deter squirrels? And so after a couple weeks of brainstorming, designing, and building with my buddy John, we put it all together in this 20-second build montage.
I don't learn how to do shit like this. Just build shit. What the fuck?
Here are the basic elements. For starters, here's where I've placed their favorite bird feeder, at the end of the course. And to sweeten the deal, right below that, there's a trap door. And if they step here, it releases a butt ton of walnuts and unfurls some celebratory banners. Why walnuts? I'm glad you asked. I'm using walnuts because over the course of a week, I put out a buffet of
this dude does a whole bunch of evidence to the videos,
7 different.
It's like the little shit, like, oh, they win, they get walnuts. Why? Because we did a test for 24 different squirrels, 24 different species, and every time they pick walnuts, like it's a little shit.
Seeds. And all 4 times I repeated the experiment, walnuts were always the one they ate first. What's great about placing this here is it levels the playing field, as the birds can fly up and get as much food as they want anytime they need it. The squirrels, however, will have to work for it, because the only way to make it to this platform is if they work their way through my 8-part Ninja Warrior obstacle course, which all starts right here.
That's crazy, because I thought he was gonna get like squirrels and like have them race and see who can do it. But this is just all nature.
This is the only
that's
platform on the course that has a pole that isn't covered in slippery stuff, which means this is where they have to climb up to enter the course. If they try and get up any other way, they can't keep a good grip and they just slide back down. So the first challenge is the bridge of instability. Now this may look easy, but the trick is it attaches at a single point on each end. And from a physics standpoint, that makes it no different than trying to crawl across a tightrope. It's the same deceptive principle with that one carnival game that's so impossible. I broke it down in another video where I used physics to show which carnival games were basically scams and the science on how to beat them.
Oh shit, I want to watch that now.
Next up, the maze of 1,000 corridors. This one's a bit more cerebral, but if they make it through that...
What do you mean Mr. Beast 2020 YouTube Rewind?
It will bring them to the pitchfork tumblers, which are inspired by the show Wipeout. But unlike Wipeout, I should point out that all these contraptions are squirrel-friendly, and even with a little back force, they will break away and stop spinning. Now, if they can make it past the pitchfork tumblers of treachery, they come to one of my personal favorites, the home wrecker.
What the fuck?
I put her in to tempt the
I watched YouTube Rewind, I think, but I don't
squirrel to lose
Mr.
focus on the real prize at the end of the course. Because this pad has a pressure sensor underneath it, and it connects to a microcontroller that has a relay that connects to a solenoid, that connects to a pneumatic piston, that connects back to this platform with the pressure sensor. And so if they stand here for more than 3 seconds, they gotta start the course all over again. Next up is the sneaky bridge of deception. I've suspended a juicy walnut right in the middle, but there's no way this bridge will support their weight, so it'll be interesting to see how they approach it. The 6th challenge is called the tourist trap. It's actually a bit of a reward for making it this far. If the squirrel sticks their head through this board my wife painted, it's just a photo op they can hang on the wall of their tiny squirrel nest. I'll place a walnut here as an incentive for them not to miss this unique opportunity. The penultimate challenge are the quad steps of great elevation. This is taken straight from Ninja Warrior, and this is super tricky because these pads are all totally smooth and placed at a 45-degree incline. And now for the last challenge. At this point, they are a mere few
because YouTube wasn't doing one that year because of COVID. Oh, I do remember that. I don't remember the video.
Feet away from their ultimate goal. But if they're not careful, they'll have to deal with the orbital assist platform, aka the final countdown, aka it's not a catapult, it's a squirrelapult. Which means they now have to go back and start all the way over from the beginning. Now, if they want to avoid that fate, they just need to stand on this pad for less than 3 seconds. But once again, I've placed a diversion here. This one projects an optical illusion of anything you place in the bottom of this dish. It's actually super trippy and looks even more impressive in real life because the projected image is 3D. They're like $9 on Amazon, and I put a link that explains the juicy physics of how they work in the video description. Now, with regards to squirrel safety, I know I seem to have this reputation of... improvised high-speed projectiles, and so this one might worry a few animal lovers out there, including my wife. We have 5 pets and 1 child, and the child was the only one I had a say in. So rest assured, I can adjust the pressure on the piston, and we'll be staying way below any launch force that could hurt any of our adorable backyard contestants. And so finally, after making it through all that, we're back here at the world's most satisfying bird feeder. As far as I'm concerned, if they make it here, they've earned the right to gorge next to the birds for as long as they want. And so after nearly a month of prep work, the course was officially open for business.
Oh shit.
They could smell the walnuts at the final station, and you could see the gears turning because right above that was their favorite bird feeder. And so before long, we had our first contender.
Oh. Okay. Oh shit, oh shit. Got it? Oh shit, they actually doing it! Oh! Like, whoa. Upside down? Oh no!
That didn't exactly go as planned, so
shit.
Rick decides to regroup.
Speaking
of which, that's Rick. There are a total of 4 competitors that
oh
will be attempting the course.
shit!
First
Yo,
up
this
is
is
Rick,
fire.
and he weighs 500 grams. I know this because he's actually standing on a custom-made scale. Rick
That
is
shit
very
insane.
clever, as you'll see here in a minute, but he also gets spooked easily. Next up is Marty. He's basically indistinguishable from Rick. Rick and Marty are inseparable and pretty much spend all their time together as a pair. Our third contender is Frank, also
my boy Frank. I fuck with Frank.
He's very gutsy. He's also kind of dumb. Finally, we've got my personal favorite, Fat Gus. He's just really charming and will strike a pose if he sees a camera. He also really likes to eat, and he tips the scales at an impressive 800 grams. While most of the squirrels are kind of particular before making a selection and then gracefully leaping away, Fat Gus just goes for it. Hands
Yo, bro.
free. Just makes himself real comfortable. Here he is laying out with a light snack from the bird feeder. I mean, you can't fault the guy for just clearly appreciating a good meal. So now that you know our 4 contenders, let's get back to Rick. So he hops back on, and he's actually doing better than his first attempt. Just barely. This is the best because he's like, okay, I got this.
Oh,
never
he's
mind.
doing
Well,
it.
maybe I... No, I definitely don't. And this was the exact moment I realized I just might be outmatched here.
No. What the fuck? No, he hit the whole... What the fuck?
Marty was watching Rick, and after a quick dip of his toes in the water, adopts his strategy right
He's
out.
like, I bet.
Oof,
oh,
so
shit.
But an excellent recovery.
Okay, you got it, you got
Gus, perhaps predictably, comes up a little short. Which brings us to the Maze of 1,000 Corridors. Which, to be honest, they mastered this one pretty quickly.
Where's the black squirrel
Here's a
at?
solid run from Fat Gus.
Okay, out of there.
And now for the pitchfork tumblers of treachery.
You got one on
Marty
it?
was like, yeah, that's a hard pass.
What the
Fat
fuck?
Gus is just like, abort! Frank is just like,
come on.
Nope. Then he's like, wait a second. Still nope. Then Marty flies in real hot over the top. He didn't make it through, but that's partial credit as far as I'm concerned. And then here's Fat Gus with my favorite attempt by far.
Yo, that's slow as fuck.
And then Frank shows no fear, which helps him pull off his near flawless
W. Frank.
run.
Okay.
And finally, smart Rick surgically weaves his way through,
there you go.
essentially untouched. And I should mention, the squirrels were most active from 6 to 10 a.m. So every morning, I've been getting up before the sunrise to start filming from in my house like one of those camouflage nature photographers. Only like a suburbanized version. I've also had a handful of streaming cameras rolling 24/7, which has allowed me to make such discoveries as we have the world's worst guard dog. Thanks for the help.
Yo.
Now back to the homewrecker. You can see Rick is instinctively suspicious of this gold digger, and only for a brief moment puts his foot on the platform. I told you he was smart. His buddy Marty, on the other hand...
Like, hey, fuck. Then my man's Marty bad. He's just trying to rizz up.
She is a cruel mistress.
Man.
And because I know my wife is going to ask me, no, this will not hurt the squirrel for 2 reasons. Number 1, they are amazing like cats and always land on their feet.
Yeah, bro,
and
they're
2,
good.
they themselves were jumping from this height all the time.
Bro.
And in some cases, much higher.
I hate that he even has to explain shit like this, bro. I hate fucking...
In fact, squirrels are one of the few mammals that can survive a fall from any
height.
What the fuck? They make their terminal velocity so low. You can see it right here.
Did he just fucking jump off the Empire State Building?
They make their body as flat as possible, then put their tail back to increase drag. They basically become their own parachute. And then right before they land, they pull in and fully extend their arms and legs to act as shock-absorbing landing gear. This is so cool. Now back to the course where even Smart Rick eventually lets his guard down.
Man.
Which is exactly when she strikes.
Damn.
But just like all the
my
other
boy Frank not going
so
for that.
far, after a day or two, they'd mastered it. In this case, even disregarding her offering of a fresh walnut.
Drop that shit.
Now on to the Slinky Bridge of Deception, and this was the sleeper obstacle in my book. That is not a large gap, which they can easily jump, but having the Slinky there just threw them off somehow.
Fuck?
You can see how much Frank is struggling here, and he's
on,
the
Frank.
brave one.
There you go. Come on, Frank.
He shows up for emotional support. But like all the obstacles so far, after a day or two,
My boy Frank out of there.
Now on to
He
our
won't do
third
it.
to last obstacle, the tourist trap. And this one was just a freaking delight. A little peanut butter.
Damn. That's fire. What's that, Frank? I mean, Marty? Then Rick? Now that's cool. They still lose
Now here
shit
comes
then.
Fat Gus, and I mean, how
Let's
Fat
do it.
Gus is this? He sees the camera and he's like, paint me like one of your French squirrels. Yeah? No? No takers? Alright. Here's another classic Gus where he looks at the camera. Wait a second. Play that back. And freeze. Zoom, enhance.
Wait, what? Nipples. Hey, this supposed to be a nipple? Shit, I got nipples.
Well, turns out Fat Gus is not a dude. And he's pregnant.
Oh my god. Oh my god. This is a huge turn of events.
Which meant I was suddenly feeling real uncomfortable about all those weight comments.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Damn.
So after a bit of a pivot to smooth things over, we soldiered on
fantastic,
to the
yes.
quad steps of great elevation. Frank comes in rather confident, almost
My boy
to
Frank,
his demise.
you gonna do this. Whoa.
But he pulls off the smooth recovery.
My boy Frank winning this. Flying. And then
So
jump
after
off.
not much time at all, they were looking pretty
That
good
ain't even
here.
a slippery
In fact, one
for them.
morning I noticed Marty totally skipped the last step altogether, which I
Damn.
took as a challenge, and so I removed the middle step to see what they would do. And who else but Fantastic Gus? Let's slow that down a bit.
Pregnant?
They're such amazing jumpers,
Yo.
so I suppose the quick
So
mastery
majestic.
here wasn't a surprise. I mean, this right here is probably a 10-foot jump. And here's some classic brave but dumb Frank.
Squirrel
He'd
shit.
already entered the course normally and made it to the home wrecker at least a dozen times by this point. And yet for some reason, he decides this 12-foot jump is his best course of action. And Smart Rick was the first one to enter the course, so in the end, after about a week of effort, it was fitting he was the one to make it
Like,
to the
whoa,
back.
whoa, whoa! What's
And he's
going
so
on?
stoked, he apparently wants to run the whole course in reverse. In hindsight, we probably should have made the jackpot a little quieter. Here's Marty, as always, not far behind.
Marty be cheating, bro. There's a part 2 to this? Damn,
He's
he out
also a
of
bit
it.
flighty, as you know, which worked against him here because down below Fantastic Gus, ever the opportunist, comes through with a real stroke of brilliance.
Oh.
But pretty soon Marty comes back like,
My boy Frank
I'm
at?
gonna earn that. And then
My boy Frank
Fantastic
didn't get
Gus is
anything?
like, you snooze, you lose.
Oh.
And might I just say, Fantastic Gus, when you sit like that, you don't
Ladies
look
first.
an ounce over 700 grams. Eventually, they
Frank
learned
didn't-
that sound was a good thing, and they'd quickly return for their reward before Fantastic Gus got any ideas. So here's
So
a
you-
single camera shot of a
So you showed everybody's run, but not where Frank got his
run,
run
and
in?
by the end, all of them could do the full course in less than 40 seconds. And while we're watching,
They be skipping
you
out
might
of
be
it, though,
wondering
that's-
what happened to the squirrel put. Unfortunately, they didn't really fall for my illusion much, but I'm about to show you the 2 times they did. And as a promise to my wife, I turned the pressure to only 40% full power, so the acceleration the squirrel
Oh, he's talking about like the little like trap right here where it throws him.
feel is about half a G, which is 10 times less than a typical roller coaster. Additionally, I never turned on either the home wrecker trapdoor or the launch platform when I wasn't actively watching from inside my house where I had a manual override button. Because as safe as it was, something about launching Fantastic Gus just didn't feel right. Now what you're about to see is going to look
Damn.
pretty chaotic, but when we check the
That would've been
slow-mo, amazingly, I'll show you how the squirrel is totally in control pretty much the whole time.
Oh!
Alright, now here's a second angle.
Okay,
Also, even if you don't trust my calculations, I can assure you that the squirrels did not care. In both launch cases, they were back up on the course in like 5 minutes.
If they went out,
here's the slow-mo, and see if you can spot the 2 critical things he does to make sure he lands feet down. Did you catch it?
He flew in the air.
The first critical moment is right here. He's already done the predictive math, and he's locked his head on the spot where he plans to land. And now his head will not lose that lock the whole way down.
He did, okay.
What's crazy is the time it takes him to do all the predictive math to know exactly where he will land and to lock his head is 300 milliseconds. That's exactly this long, literally less than the blink of an eye. That blows my mind, but if you think about it, it makes sense these reactions would have evolved to be razor sharp if you live your life in the trees, constantly making split-second decisions. And besides picking the landing spot with his head, the second trick is with his arms. When he wants to keep his upper body from rotating, he has his arms out. But the moment he wants to rotate his upper body quickly, he tucks them in. And then when he wants to stop rotating, he extends them out again. This is straight up conservation of angular momentum. It's the same trick ice skaters use.
What the
Basically,
fuck?
bring your limbs in if you want to rotate fast, extend them out if you want to slow the rotation. My buddy Destin from Smarter Everyday also made a video analyzing how cats always land on their feet, and they do the exact same 2 tricks.
I know
that. Target lock and bringing limbs in to rotate and out to stop rotation. Here's the second launch. And this may look like pure luck in real time, but the slow-mo tells a different story. In that amount of time, he's already made a slight lateral push in that direction and locked his landing target with his head. We know from the previous clip he can rotate his body to any orientation, but he doesn't in this case because he sees his small push has already aligned him for the perfect landing.
He landed upside down.
That's just so cool. And so after those 2 physics demonstrations, I disabled both the launcher and the home wrecker trapdoor and just let them enjoy the course in peace. As far as I was concerned, they had earned it. Plus, after spending a month together, we were sort of bros by this point. If they saw me coming out to work, they would certainly jump away, but then they'd just quickly be right back. And sadly, all good things must come to an end, and because I didn't want them to develop an unhealthy dependence on my handouts, after about a week of free reign, I took down the course, but in its place, I put up a specialized squirrel-sized picnic table. Every morning, this door opens to release just a few walnuts as a little treat to remind them of our good times together. Although I had to laugh that after all this, somehow I didn't anticipate on day 1, Frank would immediately try and figure out and partially succeed in finding a way to beat the system. Like everything else though, they quickly caught on, and now in some
not even really sitting there, hands on the table and all
I'll catch them just waiting for the daily ration, chilling patiently on the bench seat. That is everyone but Fantastic Gus. Don't ever change, buddy. When I started this 2 month
laying on a table.
One but Fantastic Gus. Don't ever change, buddy. When I started this 2-month-long adventure trying to birdwatch, I had no idea I would enjoy squirrel watching so much more.
My boy Frank.
It's also made me realize that even amongst the structures and pavement and power lines, how interesting nature can be in a single suburban backyard if you just really stop to look. Even the plants are amazing. I had no idea that as vines grow, they spin around looking for something to grab onto. I didn't anticipate the wide variety of animals that use fences as inter-yard highways to get around as a substitute for all the trees that existed before we got here. Even little interactions like this spider extending his life with this very timely leap into the unknown
122 million, 90 million.
We're just so delightful.
Is Gus back in there?
But of all the animals, I can definitively say now that squirrels are my absolute favorite. And they're certainly a more formidable adversary.
Damn!
They're kind of adorable, incredibly crafty, curious by nature, athletic, and persistent. Turns out squirrels can live to be 20 years old, and so I like to think that someday Fantastic Gus will bring his grand squirrels to the fence and regale them with tales of cowboys and courage and legendary walnut piles.
That's cool. He was able to keep track of what squirrels are which. I wouldn't be able to tell. The only one I could tell is fucking Gus because he's fat and
This is a bird feeder, and everything you see surrounding me in my yard is an attempt to protect it from thieving squirrels. If they want the birdseed and the lifetime supply of walnuts in this bank vault, they'll first need to pass through my 9-part obstacle course. By design, it's extremely challenging. It's meant to test their mental limits and their physical limits. I held back no punches, but I have to admit in hindsight, I once again completely underestimated my adversary. And truthfully, I never thought I'd be that crazy guy in the neighborhood obsessing over the squirrels, but they started it first when they would constantly pillage the birdseed from any bird feeder I would put up about a year ago. That led to me defending it with an obstacle course which they handily defeated, and so after a year of ruminating on how to avenge that L with a majorly improved version, and then 2 months of planning, my buddy John and I got together for a 20-second build montage.
I can't wait till I'm like 45, 50. Fuck yeah, I just go into the garage and just build shit while the kids is at school and shit.
Here are the basic elements. For starters, here's their favorite bird feeder at the end of the course, and it's sitting atop Fort Nuts, the most secure walnut vault in the western United States. Now, since birds can fly, they can come and go as they please and eat all the food they want. But the only way for the squirrels to
This is like some shit you see in cartoons, and then you try to make it in real life, and it looks nothing like this. But this actually looks like some shit you see in the cartoon.
make it right here
Yeah, it's part 2.
is by surviving my 9-part grueling obstacle course, which all starts right here. Climbing up this pole to this platform is the single gateway.
It said 2 years ago. 2021. Oh my god, yo, we're gonna watch all these shits. Yo, we got like 3 or 4 of them.
Every other pole you see has some kind of countermeasure to keep the squirrel from just climbing up and then entering the course halfway through. And so the first challenge is this casino, which may seem like an odd choice until you realize that as we were building the course, we also built them some cozy little squirrel houses. So we put them up in a couple different trees, and after a few days, it looked like they'd actually made some renovations. So I went to take a closer look. And sure enough, here's the before and here's the after. Even on the inside, they made some questionable decor updates. So while it might look like they were just using the houses to relax, or stretch, or look out the window, or like, wrestle, the satellite communications gear, and the tactical mission planning, and the mini vault to practice cracking a safe hold a completely different story. This gang of 4 high-end professional birdseed thieves were secretly planning to pull off an honest-to-goodness Mission Impossible Ocean's 11 style mega walnut heist, which is why I was gonna protect the birdseed and walnut vault with the most state-of-the-art security measures, just like the casino did in Ocean's 11. So once in the casino, you'll see the slot machine and the classic Vegas buffet, but with a warning. Take more than an ounce, and you're gonna have to deal with security. Now that I got the squirrels on the run, they'll naturally want to jump to this bar, but there's a twist.
I want to know how much.
Like it actually twists, which I think is gonna.
I want to know how much material it took, like how much it cost.
Give them some problems. But if they can figure this out, they'll jump into this crate. And the good news is that it's filled to the brim with their favorite food, which is walnuts. And I know this because I tested a bunch of different options, and they always went with the walnuts first. But the bad news is that once you add a little weight to the system, the helicopter starts moving.
Wait, Frogo, when WWE drop? Like, I seen someone about to play it tonight.
Moving, just like the helicopter for Mission Impossible. Oh, and we've got a baffle here at the top to stop a squirrel from just crawling along the wire from the fence. The helicopter stops next to this wall, which seems simple enough, except that the bricks randomly move and adjust themselves in and out. And of course, at any time, if they fall off, they gotta go back and start over the whole course from the beginning. After that, we come to their hideout. And this is when they'll switch from defense to offense, because it's where they hang out and plan. You can see it's sort of messy with their tools and their blueprints on the wall that show if they open the floor on the elevator shaft leads them underground and into the sewers. Then if they crawl through the sewers, it will take them right to the control center for a second room that might look familiar. And just like in Mission Impossible, their goal is to go up through the ceiling to access the air vents. But there's no way to make it up there unless they type the password into the keyboard in the control room next door, like this.
What the fuck?
And at that point, they can climb the ladder, and they're in the vents. And the vents are a total maze. There's lots of different twists and turns they'll need to navigate up here. So at any moment, if they're too lost, they can always exit the whole course by using the one-way squirrel emergency exits, which also exists for any enclosed room on the whole course. And for the penultimate challenge, it's back down from the air ducts through this laser maze where they'll have to harness their inner Catherine Zeta-Jones. If they sufficiently touch any of the lasers, the metal base contacts and completes the circuit, which sends a signal from this microcontroller to a relay to a solenoid, which causes this pneumatic piston to fire, which slams this door shut for 1 minute. And because I'm basically certain they'll try and get to this point by climbing from the roof on top of this tube, I've placed a shield here with another enforcement squirrel to try and deter them. And so finally, if they've made it through the laser maze and everything that came before it, they've made it to Fort Nuts. And as far as I'm concerned, if they crack the safe by giving this handle a little turn, they've earned every last walnut in this bank. After the course was set up, they could definitely smell the walnuts in the vault, and then you could see them sort of working things out from the fence line. And so after 2 months of prep work, it was time to test our extensive security measures against this formidable set of 5.
Damn, y'all got school tomorrow? Oh shit.
Rodents. And right out of the gate, we got him with the buffet. And as he sticks his entire face under the sneeze guard, absent-mindedly reading the sign, you can see the exact moment he realizes he might have screwed up.
Wait, who is this? They don't got names for him?
And the slow-mo shows Rick just really
Oh,
laying
Rick,
himself
my
out.
bad.
Oh, by the way, that's Rick. All
Okay.
4 squirrels have names, and more
Of course I said
importantly,
that.
like any crew looking to pull off a heist, they all have specific roles to play. Starting with everyone's favorite, Fat Gus, who of course is the mastermind of this operation. On a heist, this is the role of the Frank Ocean or an Ethan Hunt. Now I just have to say, for those who aren't familiar, last year I named one of the squirrels Fat Gus because he loved to eat and was a little on the hefty side.
What'd I even do, Sid?
But then
Why was he
halfway
your
through,
favorite?
I noticed he had nipples, which it turns out means he was actually a girl, and a pregnant one at that. So it was just a whole PR disaster, and I switched the name to Fantastic Gus and rephrased a few other things, but to be honest, Fantastic Gus just doesn't roll off the tongue like Fat Gus. So I asked permission to use my preferred phrasing, and as you can see, I got full consent. Next up is Rick. He's the acrobat, the grease man, the gutsy one. He's the go-to for any task that is going to require some athletic abilities. And then we've got Marty. He's the hacker. Anything with computers or bank safes.
I swear, if they don't got Frank, I'm
While
clicking
he's
off.
really smart, he also scares pretty easy. And finally, we've got Frank with logistics. A good heist starts with a good plan. He's got the whole course memorized, and he's mapped it out and provided blueprints for the team. And so back to the course, we've got
Shouldn't we stay up and listen to that Dirk album?
Marty the
Y'all be bringing up that Dirk album.
hacker
No, it was the Vaughn album.
here, who again is a bit
Bring
skittish,
up
so
that
you can
Von
see
album
he's coming in pretty cautious. But who can resist a buffet? Once again, the real magic is found in the slow-mo.
Yeah.
Eventually they realize security was just too tight at this casino, and Rick goes straight to
pushing.
the twist bar. Excellent. Here's try 2.
Okay, there you go. Damn. You got it.
And with some motivation for the bird, he's like, I got this, I got this, I got this.
Whoa, whoa, jump, jump, jump! Ah.
The real-time replay on this one is great too. And at this point, Fat Gus is like, I'm gonna need that crate of walnuts. Let me show you how it's done. Which turns out somewhat predictably.
Yo, just give it up. Yo.
Now really frustrated, Acrobat Daredevil Rick tries a totally different route.
Just jump straight to
I
it.
gave
Oh,
this a 9.5,
shit.
but sorry, Rick.
If he catches
the Russian
on-
judge gave it a 6.
How did he
You
not
gotta
catch
stick
that?
on it.
He was right
Logistics
there.
man Frank knows the wire connected to the fence leads to the helicopter crate, so he tries
Damn.
sneaking in the back door.
Ah, damn, it's blocked out.
And is
Yo!
also forced to retreat.
Damn,
And finally, Marty
Frank.
the hacker realizes if you're just scared and you run real fast, the bar doesn't have time to spin on you. And you can see Rick just replicating the strategy. So after about 2 days, all of them could cruise through the first part of this course about
Okay,
this
there we go.
fast. And Fort
Days?
Knox was already feeling less
Only
and
been
less
like
secure. Fat Gus is like, wait, is this thing moving? I'm good.
I'm out. Yeah.
Here, Rick hypothesizes if he doesn't sit
Helicopter.
in the crate, it won't move. And here, he rejects that hypothesis with a legendary leap.
I ain't gonna
Now's
make
a
no
good time to
helicopter
remind
jokes.
ourselves that squirrels are one of the few mammals
Yo!
that can survive a fall from any height. Because as you can see here, they make their body super flat to increase drag, effectively becoming their own parachute. But just in case, you okay, Rick?
Yup. All good.
And Marty the hacker, Frady Cat, is just like, yeah, I'm super not down with this. Eventually, it's the fearless
Jump
leader,
shot.
Fat Gus, who demonstrates the ride is definitely worth it.
His fat ass.
And soon you've got Frank
Always
and
eat.
the rest of the game
My boy
following
Frank.
suit.
Come on now.
Which leads us to the wall of 1,000 moving bricks. And first up, you got Fat Gus, who kicks things right off with a pull of his parachute. And Rick just barely misses.
Damn.
Skittish Marty gets one taste of a moving brick and absolutely yeets himself into this tree. And while there were plenty of instances where a moving brick did dump the squirrels, causing them to start over from the beginning, what was even better was Marty psyching himself out in the anticipation that a brick might move, even though the wall wasn't powered on for
He
any of these
is tweaking. He is tweaking. Look, my boy Frank.
And thanks in part to the dutiful
Handstand
of Fat Gus, eventually, like all the other challenges
Now Marty tweaking. He's like,
so far,
I know it's
they
gonna
got it
move.
down
Which
to
one
a
of these gonna
science
move?
Where they could cruise by the wall
You
fairly
ready to
quickly.
jump ship? Okay, there you go. You gotta be
And now's a
fast.
good time to mention the squirrels weren't the only
Damn,
ones
a play
attempting the
night.
course.
Wait, what the
This
fuck is
Splinter
that?
Rat, and here he is with one of his buddies. He liked to make the rounds to all the houses.
Ah,
inside,
hell
which
no.
sometimes
Blockwork is
were
setting in a
open,
vid?
and sometimes they weren't. There goes Frank to chase him off
What
his
the-
lawn.
yeah,
You might have
yeah,
noticed
come
the
on, Frank.
stuff in the house. The squirrels would gather nesting materials from various sources, or, somewhat hilariously, just steal from each other. Here's a bonus Santa Claus impression for all the Fat Gus fans out there. So from Splinter and his buddies to not at all creepy possums, there's a surprisingly constant variety of wildlife that passes through a suburban backyard, including a dumb dog who for some reason is much less interested in squirrels than he is my camera gear. Which is a lovely segue back to the squirrel hideout, where the heist was really just picking up steam.
Now the music. Yo! He's smacking. Damn. That's what I'm saying, Sid. That's what I asked. This is so crazy. Now the montage is crazy. Boy, Marty in there. Wait. Now how do I go up here? Bro, this probably looks so cool to them, bro. Like a few thousand. I feel like it's more like maybe 10,000. Like look at this little shit that he had to do. Like I don't think he's paying people to do this. I don't know though, but it's just the attention to detail that costs like more. I feel like, but I just don't like. What do you think the fucking squirrels are just like thinking, bro? They're like, what the fuck is going on? They just run through these rooms and shit. Hit the keyboard. Fuck you, eating? Damn.
And after Hacker Marty had accessed the computer and lowered the ladder, Fat Gus followed behind and joined him in the vents. But in the process, a critical tool dropped down, which led to a lovely recreation of an iconic scene.
What the fuck? Bro, let me leave my boy Frank out of it, bro.
And as a side note, they figured out the exit door pretty quickly, and they functioned as a one-way door exactly as intended. And now with the
Okay,
vents,
good.
it was Frank's time to shine.
My
You
boy
can see
Frank.
here, he's just double-checking the
on the
actual
outside.
air duct layouts to make sure they match the blueprints he's memorized. And once
There
he's
you go.
satisfied, he steps up. And
My
as you
boy
can see,
Frank, look at
he
him.
nails it first try. You
Come
can
on
just
now.
sense his confidence here. Contrast that with Marty, who's like, all right, I think it was a right, no, straight. Oh, was it left? Crap, I gotta go check the map again. And as a result, most of his runs would end up.
Now my
looking
boy
something
Frank got
like
there
this.
first time.
So here's Frank
Yo.
coaching him from the outside, and you can
Nah.
see he's a little defensive about it. So Frank hops in so they can work out their differences,
Oh!
and then with a little encouragement, he gets.
Nah, Marty dropped his
Work out their
fucking
differences.
his walnut.
And then with a little encouragement, he gets him going.
Nah,
down
why
the
this shit
way.
funny,
All the while,
bro?
Fat Gus continues to supervise. Focus, Marty. There you go.
Real brothers gotta fight, bro. Yeah, they said Frank was dumb last episode, and he's the one fucking carrying right now.
Us to the laser maze.
They said he was bold and dumb, I think.
Here's Acrobat Rick's first approach, and he's like, yeah, that's sus. And just as expected, he climbs on top of the tube, and he's like, yeah, I totally got this. When in fact, he
Oh!
didn't have it.
Oh!
It happens so fast, it just looks like chaos. But if we
He
slow
was just
down this
spinning.
second attempt, we can remind ourselves of how squirrels have mastered the laws of physics to always land on their
He
feet.
just
Did
fucking-
you catch it?
Yeah,
The
he
first
just
is
laid
the
out.
locking of the head on a landing target in less than 300 milliseconds. If you
Ain't
go
that fat ass air conditioning? Oh, this is the garage. I was about to say, you are in the suburbs. You tell me you fucking still got the box air conditioning in the
to
window?
watch any jump from this video,
Get that central
locking
airing.
of their head is the first thing they always do. And the second
this
is
shit is
using
so
conservation
tough.
of angular momentum like an ice skater to pull their arms and
I
legs
never
in
understood
and out
that.
at the right times.
That's crazy to me.
Conservation of angular
Like they go in and it goes faster.
momentum like an ice skater.
He's going
to pull their
faster,
arms
and he
legs
went
in
out
and
and it was
at the
slower.
right
That shit
times
crazy.
To rotate fast and then hold in the right orientation. Combine those two tricks with the flat body parachute and extending their legs at the last minute to absorb the shock, and they are perfectly adapted for living high in the
Oh,
trees.
shit. My
In
man
fact,
Frank
squirrels
running
have been
people
around
off.
for over 30 million years, and they've had to evolve relatively little in all that time. So then
What family is like squirrels in? Are they like dogs or cats or like shit like that? You know how like a cheetah is like a family of the cats? What is a squirrel? Rodent. What's a rodent? Like a rat? Damn, that's ass. I thought mice, rat, that's ass. Like squirrels are way more developed than that shit. Like they're flying squirrels. Oh my god, I remember they used to like glide. That shit used to be the coolest shit. What else is in that family? Squirrels, flying squirrels, mice. Mole. How is moles related to mice? That's crazy. How many families are there? Possum. So everything that's fucking, I guess, in this video. So there's cats, dogs, mice. Oh, what else? I think they're like humans. So what are monkeys then? Like monkeys, apes, gorillas. They're just like the monkey family. Homo sapien humans. Sapiens? That shit don't even sound right. Mammals. No, I don't think that's. What the fuck is a homo sapien? Wait, we're Homo sapiens? I thought it was heterosexual. Like, is there heterosapien? I feel like that sounds better. Apes are what? What'd you call apes, Froger? Why'd they have to bleep it out? Whoa. Whoa, Froger. Whoa. You going down a Joe route. You're not gonna beat the allegations either? Oh.
and Rick's like, fine, I'll use the stupid tube like a normal squirrel.
Whoa.
What is this? See,
Oh,
I knew
shit.
This was sus.
Man, this got
And
scared.
here's Frank, who
My boy
just
Frank.
watched what happened, and therefore
He not
is
scared of nothing.
appropriately cautious.
Oh, shit. That man jumped all around the box.
But he hops right back on the saddle.
Oh.
And this
That's
time
what you try to
he
say,
nails it.
Froger?
And in the end, it feels appropriate that the mastermind Fat Gus was the first one to make it successfully through the
Wait, why did they close? Did they bump the wires?
The mastermind Fat Gus
You gotta
was
sneak
the
around
first one to make it successfully through the laser maze,
Why you blur that?
and then to subsequently make it to Fort Nuts.
Oh, you know why.
I mean, how fat Gus is this?
You said the wrong
Falling
word,
not
Roger.
just for one decoy nut, but for both of them. Which paves the way for Marty the hacker to be the one to crack the safe, and as you can see here, he's pretty stoked about it.
Play shades on his hind legs. Come on, hit that
First, he
shit.
just checks it out, like, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep,
It's
just
like
a safe.
the schematic showed. And then, the big moment.
Crack the code. Damn it, jump ship. Well, he's gonna be on the ground now. Look, was that Frank? Was that Frank in the laser room? What about the hard
When
R?
these cargo nets unfurl, which just allowed better.
Oh shit! Nah. Was that the hard R, Spooky? They blocked the hard R? Oh.
to their
I
loop.
knew
But
it.
interestingly, more often than not, after getting a walnut, instead of jumping off, they would go all the way back through the course. Here's Jumpy Marty exhibiting some real PTSD, even though I'd already turned off the whole system. So once again, the squirrels took the W, but as far as I'm concerned, they earned it. And I can't complain with how things turned out, because Rick buried all his extra nuts in the yard,
Damn.
Marty and Frank made up and rekindled their friendship, and Fat Gus got some long-sought quality time with the bird feeder.
Hold up.
So everyone was happy. Well, almost everyone.
Please consider subscribing. I will. You don't want to be like spamming either. Now, how many more are there?
This
Yo, the Olympics. No, my boy Marty. Frank gotta get that. Oh, he's the last one.
is the prestigious Walnut Cup. And if you want it for yourself, you'll need to first win a majority of the competition events I've set up.
So I didn't block the hard R and the hard F. What's the hard F? Maggot? My blur only had 5 stars, so you know I ain't say hard R? Right.
In my backyard, and second, be a squirrel. Welcome to the third and final year of my all-consuming battle with the squirrels in my backyard. And bust out the popcorn, because this year not only do we have amazing feats of athleticism and a lot of close calls, but also interspecies battles, home videos of Fat Gus as a baby, and a scandal that rocks the neighborhood so hard.
Bro, why am I so invested in this shit now?
Just gonna have to see it to believe it. So hold on to your
You could say the word cameo on cake. I don't know. I just don't want to get like comfortable saying it, and then like I don't know. I'll be on Twitch and shit.
and let's get started.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome
Yo,
to
like look at this shit. Look at this setup.
Backyard Summer Games, where the greatest bushy-tailed athletes in all the world compete in 7 different events, including the long
Oh yeah,
jump,
we upload on YouTube. Thanks.
the high jump, and spinning balance beam, all for the glory and prestigious Walnut Cup. I'm Chuck Acorns.
And I'm Jimmy.
What the
Just going
fuck?
with Jimmy.
Yep, just Jimmy.
How do you even like? What am I looking at right now? Like obviously these are hanging from the ceiling, but how do they get squirrels to put them on?
All right, well, that is a pretty great name, and it's a
The
beautiful day here in the backyard. The birds are singing, and the smell of fresh cut grass is in the air, which means it's time to head out to the action with our first event, the ski jump.
Now I know what you're thinking. This is different, Mark, because this is a squirrel competition, whereas for the previous 2 years, you've designed a squirrel obstacle course and then placed your bird feeder at the end. So if the squirrels want the bird seed, they basically have to outsmart you and earn it. And that's true, but much to the utter dismay of both me and the birds, they're still just eating all my bird seed with impunity because they know they've won and there's nothing I can do to stop them. So after 2 years, I've given up. We know who wins when it's me versus them, but who would win if it's
I don't
them versus themselves? Like what would happen if I create
This was made 2 years ago or 1 year ago. 2022. So 2 years ago this year.
series of events they have to compete against each other in? Like say for example the ski jump event, where once they make it to the top they have to take the walnut bait and then escape before the pneumatic cylinder fires and the trapdoor drops, sending them down the ramp and off the jump. Well, in that case you could imagine there might be a squirrel named Fat Gus who was a little more, you know, sturdy, who just really appreciated the caloric value of a fresh walnut. And a squirrel like that would be at a distinct disadvantage here, where the key really is just not to get greedy. Because the longer you take to really just stuff as many walnuts as you can in your mouth, nope. Oh boy. Well, at some point, you just run out of time. And then you find yourself in a predicament. And this freeze frame is the perfect moment to introduce all 4 of our Backyard Games competitors, starting with the heavy favorite, Fat Gus. And just like in years past, I want to be very clear, that's fat with the PH, as in fantastic. Now, in doing research on the backstories of the athletes, I stumbled on some previously undiscovered
What the
footage. And with a
fuck?
little narrative liberty, I was able to piece together that Fat Gus grew up in a rougher area of the neighborhood called Hubcap Hills. Even from the outside, you can see it was a simple home, and on the inside, it was more of the
Bro,
same. Without needing
what?
to buy new things, they were really good about repurposing whatever they could scavenge. But what they lacked
Bro,
in
how
material
many-
possessions, they made
How many views this shit got? This only got 30 million? Nah.
made up for in quality family time.
Grew up in the trenches.
Fat Gus's sister Augustine,
He was on that
and she's
block.
the second member of Team Hub.
Augustine.
Now Fat Gus has always just sort of been Fat Gus. Even that signature superhero pose manifested
lean.
its first faint echoes at a very young age. And then Augustine, for her part, was always very clever, but also
Why is
very
Frank from the hood?
particular. Here you can see her spending a long time trying to get her bed just right before sleeping for all of 3 seconds and then waking up to a new hairdo. And while they come from humble beginnings, they've been training to compete in the backyard games for the Walnut Cup.
Dang, he doing pull-ups.
Because it represented a chance to move up to a nicer tree in the neighborhood. Speaking of which, for the other two contestants, we have Rick and Marty, who you know from the previous games. But what you might not know is they live in Walnut Estates in a nice Japanese maple down the street.
Bro, look at this shit. They got fucking sculptures. Like, how do you even think of this shit?
But unlike Hubcap Hills,
damn,
Estates features a hickory piano and a fully stocked bookshelf. And so, as you might imagine, Rick and Marty's athletic training equipment was also a step above. Not only that, but Walnut Estates is so spacious,
look at them.
It has 2 rooms. This was a home protected from the harsh world where they could take their time learning basic
They got whatever they want.
Even eating. And what you should know about Rick and Marty is they've always been fairly athletic, and they also scare pretty easy. But despite their differences, what all 4 contenders have in common is they've been dreaming of this competition since they were old enough to sleep, so it'll be fascinating to see who comes out.
My boy Frank from a middle-class family.
And then a swift
middle-class household.
Ship, Fat Gus's teammate Augustine
2-parent household.
For her attempt. And while she's never
1 brother, 1 sister.
dignified in her nibbling, the outcome remained unchanged.
Wait, that's
the
it?
This right here is probably my favorite because it's like 1 second there.
Wait, Frank's not in this episode? Nah.
The single right here is probably my favorite because it's like 1 second there is a floor.
They had fucking Augustine, but no Frank.
But she recovers.
I wonder why.
Like squirrels always do. Because they're
don't say that. No. Don't tell me Frank died during the year.
Masters of physics, as we covered extensively in my previous 2 backyard squirrel videos. Next was Marty, who was watching the other 2 from the sidelines and taking notes, and must have assumed it only fires if you walk directly onto the platform, because he did this clever number on his approach. And while he's clearly bad at deductive reasoning, he is good at scaring easily, which came in handy here, because before the floor barely even drops, he's launched himself onto the roof.
Yo.
And finally, we have Rick, who plays a conservative.
He got fucking
and while that might be less
PTSD.
entertaining for the
Oh my god, he
crowd,
grabbed that
it
shit
secures
out.
the first gold medal of the Backyard Summer Games for Team Walnut
What'd they do?
Estates. By the way, the Backyard Games
shut the
is
door?
made possible by Acorns because their app allows you to invest like a squirrel through saving
Rumor has it that Marty slid on Frank because he lost the
and
fight.
investing your money little by little. Next up is the second event of the
boomer
Backyard
for
Games,
Frank,
the
a
Balance
flogger for
Beam,
Frank.
but with a twist.
Facts.
The goal here is for the contestants to simply get all the way across before the beam starts.
I don't
to
even
spin
care
on
no
them.
more. My boy
Now,
Frank
they've been
didn't make it,
preparing
bro.
for this event for a long time. Here you see toddler Augustine struggling at first, but eventually
who the
getting to the
fuck?
point where she was still wobbly, but much more in control. Then over at Walnut Estates, Rick and Marty would practice advanced moves like the underbar crawl, demonstrating the sharpest of concentration. But
How do you even
honestly,
get this
who could
footage,
resist a
bro?
hanging chandelier? First up is Marty, who in an effort to calm his nerves, pumps himself up with the flex.
I feel my
You'll
boy
come to
Marty
see
now.
that this is kind of his thing. Then immediately after making his way up onto the beam, he just goes for it and makes it all the way to the end. Almost. That's where his nerves ostensibly catch up with him because he pees his pants and then inexplicably tries to run all the way back to the safety of the start where things end for him predictably. Next up is Augustine. The first sign of a spin, she yeets herself practically into my neighbor's yard.
Come on.
In the slow-mo, you see
let a
that
girl in a man
classic
sport.
make your body into a parachute pose that makes it
Where
so
my boy
a squirrel
Frank
can
at?
survive a fall
Oh.
from any height. Rick followed that performance by stepping up and making such quick work of the beam, it never even had a chance to spin.
Okay.
You could see the birds really appreciated that run as they watched from the telephone wire
So many different
grandstands.
birds.
The bird stands are constructed such that they give the birds a perfect view of the game without being bothered by the squirrels because the wires are too unstable. But
Yeah,
that
nature
didn't
is a
stop
cool
them from
thing.
trying because of course they were going to try. They literally just try everything. That's like what they do. Finally, there was Fat Gus, who had such a quick start, it was on pace for the gold. But that's when things took a turn. Like, actually.
Yeah, the trenches lost this shit. Fucking Gus and Augustine,
You've just
the fat
gotta
dude and the
admire
girl.
the tenacity here.
They better know where Frank was going. That's what I'm saying. Why is it not 4.0? Wow. I just hear Mark. Bro. Where's Frank at? Oh, it is 2 girls, 2 guys. Gus is a girl. And she fat. Yeah, they lost. Mike created a super smart squirrel lineage in his backyard. Bro, ain't no one talk about Frank, bro. Man.
And the slow-mo here is also great, because it really gives
Did
you
no
a
one
sense
talk
of
about
what
it?
Fat Gus is actually thinking. Alright, let's just get back on top and back on bottom. Dang it. Okay, tail in the eye, tail in the eye. Hold it. Just going back to the side. Seemed easier. And U-turn. Never mind. Here we go. Back up. Oh, Mark does not pay me nearly enough for this. And while I wish gold medals could be given for effort, the Backyard Games is all about results. So Walnut States is now up 2-0. Which takes us to the third event called Quick Drop. Now the goal here is to nudge the large wooden ball off the cylinder to access the chewy walnut center. And just like with the balance beam...
Oh yeah, people probably didn't say anything in the comments because he probably addressed
training
it.
for this event from a young age. And here you can see the difference money can make, because while Rick was able to work with a near exact replica of the Quick Drop event, Fat Gus is over here...
Man!
The realwish.com situation.
Is that a fucking top of a bottle in a tennis ball?
Although still managing to look really adorable in the process.
Nah.
Augustine was up first and scoped things out, but ended up getting so particular with her approach, she couldn't settle on a strategy and left the platform with the ball unmoved.
What the
Birdie
hell?
comes up, and after another little flexing routine to psych up both himself and the bird stands, he's a bit more bold, but still pretty skittish. And you can't blame him for being skittish, because there are other animals in the neighborhood who are less interested in walnuts and more interested in squirrels. For example, there's small birds like this blue jay buzzing by, big birds like this hawk camping out.
Don't tell me they snatched up.
There's a few cats
No!
who seem to be just a bit too curious.
My boy Frank didn't get eaten by a cat, right?
All this year is actually spying on Rick right here. See if you can spot him. Now you can see as soon as Rick locks eyes with his camouflage beast, he becomes so filled with terror, he somehow decides his best option is just to hurl his body to the great unknown. Because the most feared backyard creature is a big
Blockwork.
He's a bit of a bully, and his name is Fat Tail.
Fat Tail!
Nah, Blockwork tripping. That's why he was on that treadmill earlier. Oh!
Fat Tail is just your classic schoolyard bully, even with his own friends. He wreaks chaos and tear in the backyard, and unfortunately, that's not the last we'll see of him. Back to the games, you can see Fat Gus steps up, and perhaps the tennis ball just wasn't close enough to the big wooden sphere after all, because this effort looked pretty similar to Augustine's attempt with no actual results. Which just left Rick, who was able to remove the ball without too much effort, but it's when he goes for the walnuts inside, where he just really leaves it all on the table. And that gold medal performance meant Walnut Estates was now winning 3-0.
Well, this is a best-of-7 event. That means that the first team to 4 gold medals wins. And this may be turning into an old-fashioned rout.
That's right, Chuck. Hubcap Hills really needs to step it up, because if Walnut Estates gets 1 more gold medal, they're going to be the winners of the Backyard Games.
Which is all to say they needed a huge showing at the long jump if they ever expected to hoist the Walnut Cup. The rules here are pretty self-explanatory. You got to jump from this platform and make it all the way to the sand pit, and the team with the most successful jumps wins.
Yes,
Rick is the first one up, and you can see he's really struggling to calculate the trajectory and to do the math in his head to make the jump work. But eventually he chooses to just go for it and to put his trust not in the math, but in himself. Which was the wrong choice. Next up is Augustine, and knowing what's at stake here, she musters an uncharacteristic amount of resolve and just goes full send,
shit!
sticking a perfect landing.
Oh, I thought she got farther.
And so you can see Marty patiently waiting his turn on deck while she's enjoying the fruits of her labors, as Rick's like, hey, I know I didn't make my jump, but are you cool if I join you on the landing pad? And she's like, yeah, that's definitely not an option. As she not only kicks him off, but double checks that he's really gone. And I should say, with all the excitement around the backyard games, there were other animals that would occasionally want to get in on the action too. Some who were bigger, and some who at least thought of themselves as bigger. Here's a long jump attempt, but it's like, dude, crow, you have wings. That's not impressive. Up next is Marty, who knows he needs to land this to keep them in contention. So for motivation, he calls upon an extremely rare alternating double arm flex. And with a big leap and a big tail correction, Walnut Estates keeps the pressure on. And finally, there's Fat Gus, who has
if he lands it, if he lands it, he wins. Oh shit!
Marty seeks motivation from the power flex, Fat Gus seeks motivation from the power nap. After which, a hush falls over the backyard.
Here's the approach.
Come on, guys, don't fuck up.
And the launch.
No, he airballed. He airballed. Oh, we got that now. Oh no, he's right there. No! Nah, game on the line. You gotta pull yourself up. Then pull-ups.
Yes,
then pull-ups.
He did. Oh my!
Come on. The trench is still alive.
Bring in the melon ballers. That was truly incredible. Oh my! Have you ever seen anything like that before in your life? No, me neither.
And so as Fat Gus sits there enjoying the sweet taste of victory with their first points on the board, Rick realizes his hopes for redemption through a tiebreaker round are dashed as he shows himself down and heads to the next event, which happens to be the Nutcracker. Now for the Nutcracker, the gold medal goes to the first contestant to somehow open, then eat the actual nut in the walnut shell. And once again, prep work for this very moment started at a young age. At Walnut Estates, admittedly there was some confusion as to how this event works, but with a little bit of teamwork, they eventually figured it out. Over at Hubcap Hills, you can see things were particularly
golf ball.
So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. After heading over from the long jump, Rick comes in strong, but then freezes up as he tries to remember how they did this as kids. And after seemingly drawing a blank, he just decides to go ask Marty. And that appears to do the trick, because upon returning, he scores a successful removal, but fumbles on the goal line, which is an out-of-bounds violation. Marty was up next, and having just pacing back through this, he knows exactly what to do.
Come on, I'll fuck with Marty.
Ooh,
come on, give me that. Snatch hands.
But after finding the exact perfect way to hold the shell, he takes the walnut out of bounds and decides to go off and bury it. And while this is a disappointing showing for Team Walnut Estates, this isn't that surprising because even as a baby squirrel, he was really good at hiding things. Here he takes their favorite toy basketball and then cleverly buries it under the rug, so there's no possible way Rick's ever gonna find it. Fat Gus is up next, and to the surprise of no one, removes, then shells the walnut in record time, like a true professional.
Shit.
And then finally there's Augustine, who takes a completely different approach.
What the fuck? Nah.
But it still counts, which gives
she be chewing on
a
bricks.
clear and decisive win, keeping their dreams alive and building on their momentum.
What the fuck?
Which brings us to the penultimate challenge.
She didn't move the one at all. She just broke it.
The Thunderdome, with 2 tubes that lead in from platforms on either side. And
the
rules
come
here are
back is
pretty
crazy.
simple. Basically, the contender, who's the last squirrel standing in the dome, takes home the gold. Now at this point, it probably won't surprise you to learn that both homes had quite a bit of wrestling in them growing up. And while Marty's favorite move was the piano slide to the surfboard, Fat Gus's go-to move was definitely the tail grab. So it'll be interesting to see what strategies carry over to today. And so
really
after
gonna be
setting out in
boxing.
the yard for a bit, the first on the scene was Fat Gus, who was somewhat
Equal rights, equal fights.
trying to figure out how to get inside, and after some amount of investigating, with only minor distractions and a quick power nap, the dome was breached. And Fat Gus was really enjoying time in the Thunderdome. That is, until a certain bully rat decided to show up. Fat Tail! And at first you can see Fat Gus stands by sort of helpless, as Fat Tail comes in and starts stealing all the walnuts. But after he leaves, Gus reclaims the throne with a newfound resolve, so that when Fat Tail returns, the bullier becomes the bully. He's kicked off the platform, never to return again. And after that moment, you could just tell there was a newfound confidence. This was Fat Gus's world, and we're all just living in it. I mean, not even the barking dogs were safe from this newfound bravado. And because all the other squirrels could see what was going on, it's no surprise that anytime the king showed up to the Thunderdome, things cleared out real quick. which means Hubcap Hills took the gold, tying things up at 3-3, setting up the ultimate showdown in the final event to settle who would be the Backyard Games champions. And so this was it. The morning of the final competition had arrived, and you could sense the anticipation in the air throughout the neighborhood. Everything would come down to the high jump. So the competitors made their way over to the backyard, running through the training progressions in their heads, preparing themselves mentally for what lay ahead.
Fat Tail! Oh my goodness, Fat Tail, come on. So disappointing.
What a shameful example of poor sportsmanship. Clearly
get
just trying to
steady,
get in
bro.
their heads the morning of the final event.
Even the birds were expressing their distaste in the best way birds know how. But the mark of a true professional is being able to clear your mind, as you can see Augustine do here, as she then makes her way up to the platform. And Augustine starts out with what is arguably less of a jump and more of a hoist, but whatever. Rick went a bit quicker, but then got slowed down on his exit because he discovered he could see himself in the reflection, and he knows a handsome devil when he sees one. Fat Gus and Marty, on the other hand, were able to clear this one with minimal effort, which meant it would all come down to the highest high jump setting. Rick went first, but after choosing a bad angle, things did not end well for him. Augustine used her meticulous planning to size things up and then deduced that the best way over was under. And while clever, it was a clear violation of the rules, so she was out too. That left Marty and Fat Gus to decide it all. And after a final flex to really hype himself up, Marty turned his attention to the platform, stepped up, and with a big effort, he did it! He actually pulled it off. Although he sort of grabbed the side to do it, so that meant if Fat Gus does it cleaner without using the side, that would give the humble underdogs from Hubcap Hills the championship.
Here's Fat Gus with the approach, sizing up the bar.
For the trenches.
The jump is up.
This guy's got a
pause. Still paused. Oh no, Fat Gus.
Wow.
Redo.
Well, okay. I guess that means Marty gets the gold, and that puts Walnut Estates to 4 gold medals, making them the official winners.
That was kind of anticlimactic.
Of the backyard.
I thought it was gonna be like a whole bunch of like music in the back and slow down. There,
I mean,
no freeze frame, none.
Static, and rightfully so. It was a hard fought and well-earned battle.
Wait a second, I'm getting some breaking news.
Really?
Stand by for just a. Oh no. What I've just heard has disturbed me deeply.
And that was the moment everything changed because of a bombshell revelation. And you could tell Marty already knew what was coming by the way he banished himself from the backyard and into the bushes. The first clue was after going through all the footage, and I mean, I bear partial responsibility for not noticing this myself, but Marty was constantly flexing. It's almost like he had all these newfound muscles and couldn't keep it. Was it possible that he was secretly eating non-regulation walnuts to make his muscles bigger and stronger? Well, if he was gonna do that, he'd have to hide them.
He did that shit naturally.
Second clue, we know that ever since he was young, his favorite spot for hiding stuff was under the rug. So while he was busy competing and winning the high jump, a raid was secretly being conducted at by the authorities.
What the fuck?
The trapdoor was discovered, and after peeking inside,
the feds
found these. A couple of bags of Russian walnuts.
Bro.
And I probably don't need to tell you why, but in the backyard games, Russian walnuts are strictly prohibited.
Bro.
And so suddenly it made total sense.
They raided his crib while he's at the Olympics?
Strong enough to conquer the high jump. And you can imagine when the news leaked to the neighborhood, just how utterly shocked everyone was.
Wow. This is disappointing on a molecular level. And I say that not just
my man Marty ain't do that shit. They planted that shit.
Quite frankly, it's a disgrace.
My man's over at the Olympics. How was he at the crib?
Games. But on the bright side, it meant an adjustment had to be made.
This means their high jump goes to Hubcap Hills and makes Hubcap Hills
I need the body cam footage. I don't believe this shit.
Because of the reversal, you can see Fat Gus wasted no time making it down to the trophy, and Augustine was so happy she just couldn't contain herself.
My man Frank would have swept all this.
A lot of saliva on my mustache.
So the only question that remained was just how Marty would have even got a hold of those. It's just, you can only get Russian walnuts at night from the underground sewer network. Squirrels aren't even nocturnal.
The underground sewer?
I mean, he'd have to go through... Wait a second. Zoom in right there. Of course. Fat Tail was masterminding the whole thing to cheat the system. Eventually,
you can never trust a rat.
Took some endorsement deals.
Had Marty's name right on the side of the paper.
to relocate
Wrote that
the
shit
house
himself.
to the Japanese maple down
Oh
the
my
street.
God,
With,
bro.
of course, the addition of a conspicuous
Gotta hate
lawn
them
ornament
rats.
as a playful flex to their neighbors below. And speaking of their neighbors, they all eventually found it in their hearts to forgive Marty, because that's just what good friends do. Which is all to say, in the end, they all lived in harmony, happily ever after. Well, except for Fat Tail. He did some hard time in the slammer, because he's a jerk.
Finally.
Fun fact, squirrels only remember where they
No,
bury
where's Frank
about
at?
25% of their nuts.
Where's
That
Frank
means
at?
If you see a big old oak tree, there's a decent chance it's there because of a squirrel. And as a human, I look at this acorn, and to be honest, it's not even that big. So it's crazy to imagine that this, with a little help from Fat Gus, could turn into this. This makes squirrels nature's greatest investors because they leave 3 out of every 4 acorns in the ground, and with enough time, those acorns can turn into mighty oak trees that can provide way more acorns for generations of squirrel babies to come. And I got some great news, because if you want to start investing like a squirrel, there's a very appropriately named app called Acorns that makes it super easy. You can start by investing
Where's
your
Frank
spare
at?
change in a diversified portfolio, but friendly, and also yard squirrels. So if you want to check out more feats of squirrel awesomeness, download the Acorns
Where's
app
Frank?
and start investing like one. Thanks for watching.
Nah, bro. Where's Frank at? Crunch Lab. Where we build a toy together, then I teach you a little. And I get hella like they like teach people shit. Oh, what happened to Frank? Where's Frank? Wait, what happened to Frank? I missed Frank. What about Frank? You know, I want to see the most like comment with Frank's name in it, because I didn't see any. Wow. Wow, you got like one like, oh shit, 9.9. Bro. People don't care about Frank? Nah. Justice for Frank, bro. They left my man's out the video. W series, I'll fuck with that.